bans. We've also seen Gnar have a huge resurgence in both the LPL and the LCK. We know that Gnar is going to be a big pick
Absolutely.
at the MSI right here, so it's not that surprising that either Dyrus or Huni will have played and practiced a lot of Gnar. It is within their capability to play. It just was not one of their picks during their regional playoffs.
Takeaway of the Rek'Sai from Rain over here, his early game pressure. See what he tries to get that back in the game with.
And something I have to highlight, Fnatic won the first couple of weeks worth of games by comboing great pick potential from Rainover on Rengar, plus some sniping power from Febiven. With a number of champions available, and all the bans. Huni also played a lot of Lissandra. We've got to keep that in mind. We need to see how deep his champion pool goes. If he goes Siobhan or that Lee Sin did not work out very well during the semifinals.
Yeah, and this pick ban phase, Fnatic actually showed their hands pretty early here, and I think it's because they were afraid of Bjergsen playing LeBlanc just straight off. So Urgot is that flex pick that can go in the mid lane or as an AD carry.
Yep.
If TSM would have picked Urgot, it would not have been a flex pick because Wild Turtle does not like playing Urgot, but now it's actually going to be Steelback on that. We were expecting Steelback to have a high priority on Sivir this game because he can press the R button and be successful, but now as far as the laning phase goes, they're going to be kind of more okay, and Urgot's a different type of AD carry champion that I think Steelback will be able to execute.
Well, we'll need to see how Febiven does in that LeBlanc. 3-2 since 5.5 was implemented. Does have pick potential, some squishies on TSM, but it feels like TSM has got that mid-game team fight set up already with the Sivir, with Gnar, with Rek'Sai, and we'll need to see if Fnatic can play for the mid to late. The problem is, when Fnatic go mid to late, they lose.
Yeah, it seems like a little bit of an arms race right now as far as mid-game team fighting goes. Fnatic's last two picks really have to cement their team composition right here. With 7 top laners already off the board, Huni's getting heavily stretched right now for his top lane champion, especially since he has to go up against Gnar. Whoa.
Huh?
It's potentially a top lane Cassiopeia from Huni right now, which...
Wouldn't doubt it.
That's not something you prep for. I'm going to be honest right now. Yet it could be either, it could be the LeBlanc or the Cassiopeia. The Cassiopeia is much more likely, but holy crap.
I feel like they banned everything and then took everything TSM would want to play in this game and said, that's the deal. We'll get everything off the board. Wow. Still looking in this, as they were saying, Crumbs mentioning TSM getting the red side. This is where Bjergsen can now counter the entire composition if he wants to. So far, Azir and Castaner are being hovered.
Well, we'll see what they decide to lock in. I just want to hit home for Fnatic. This is completely changing the rules. With Urgot, Cassio, and LeBlanc, this is the first time they've played that combination ever, and it's the first time that they've done that in recent weeks. This is a completely different flavor that Fnatic's been putting out, but they have had a little bit of time to play with.
This is so wild. Sejuani and Grog, Sejuani goes completely through the pick ban phase. TSM goes for a mid-game power spike focused team right here. They're gonna have to win this one early, I feel like, because Huni with the damage heavy top laner there in Cassiopeia will have a great late game edge, but it kind of takes away from Huni's mid-game impact already. It's very strange.
And we need to see if they can handle that Cho'Gath. Both Huni and Febiven have respectively played Cho'Gath in the last couple of weeks, and I'm going to be frank, they sucked with it. They did not make it work. However, Bjergsen against High in the finals, he had a great performance.
We'll be using him like an assassinator, right? Just going around, flashing over wall, bite, chomp, take High down in a second. If he gets going like that once again with early pressure from Santorin on Rek'Sai, could be big.
Both games that Bjergsen's had on Cho'Gath, he has absolutely decimated the laning phase. They lost one of them because of mid-game mistakes, but as far as the mid-lane control they will have with Rek'Sai and Cho'Gath is immense.
Absolutely. As the teams take to the Rift, be sure to share your predictions. Tweet hashtag FNC win or hashtag TSM win to @LOL Esports, and we'll check out who you think will be victorious once we are on the Rift. Compositions are locked in. Very different things here coming from Fnatic, Yellowstar, and his rookies that he's brought to the title for Europe, now against the NALCS champs.
Well, one thing that I definitely want to keep my eyes on is Steelback and Yellowstar as we load onto this Rift with that tanky, beefy, bruiser duo lane. If they find the 2v2, Steelback has traditionally been incredibly weak in the laning phase, but he cleans up the fights as the mid game rolls around. I want to see how they handle themselves against the hometown heroes.
It's going to be something difficult. You think of Urgot, and you're going to have to clean up from being right in the pit of the fight, in the heat of the fire. We'll see how Fnatic works this one out as we start off our first game in the midseason Invitational. We'll see where the bar is set.
Yeah, have to talk about the Urgot Nautilus lane. As far as an actual 2v2 lane, that is an absolutely devastating combination, because since Nautilus has the root on his basic attack, it is absolutely devastating. If you have to respect every single movement that Nautilus has in the laning phase if you want a chance at staying alive. Luckily for TSM, they have kind of been the masters of lane swaps in the playoffs. Every game in the finals against Cloud9, TSM won the early lane swap game, so they should be looking to swap this unless they've decided that they're okay in the laning phase and they want to throw a curveball at Fnatic for some reason. Almost every single game TSM does a lane swap, they find an experience and gold advantage over their opponents. But this game looks like they might be playing the Dragon Control normal lane phase game, because they're not even looking for deep wards, jungler denial, any of the tomfoolery they were pulling in the NA playoffs. This is a standard start from TSM.
In lane phase even more. We've seen recently LeBlanc's picking up all these consumables. Faker did it game 5 against GE Tiger here. Again, Febiven's going to do it. Not a lot of pressure with drinking all that in your lane. So more lane phase.
No, this is super dangerous for Team Solomid right now. They are not starting a jungle camp. It is completely on Lustboy to disrupt these Krugs. If TSM doesn't want a pretty big disadvantage early on, they take one small one, and Lustboy, he can't really do much right here.
Well, I do see that trading back and forth, Steelback and Yellowstar. Going to get this 2v2. You know, we were touching on the warding stats between the respective supports, and Yellowstar has always been a vision control roaming mid. Something he does fairly often is goes and spends some time in that middle lane to help Febiven get an advantage. And considering the matchup into the Cho'Gath with no escapes and the fact that Febiven's not an assassin, we'll see if he can do it as well.
Really early cheese right here by Rainover, because he's done one camp straight to a mid lane gank. This is what other teams do. And there goes Bjergsen.
Hit up Bjergsen, forcing the flash, a rinse and repeat for sure. Once they get more levels on Febiven, Rainover will surely return to that lane.
How many games have we seen in the North American LCS where Lustboy or Santorin do an early gank on a Bjergsen? Fnatic flips it around right here. And this is also why TSM doesn't typically lane in the 2v2. They didn't take early experience. Steelback and Yellowstar get the early level 2.
Right.
Wild Turtle and Lustboy will be on the back foot for almost the entirety of that laning phase, and TSM's flashes burned in the mid lane. This is a great start for Fnatic.
And I have to take a step back and look at Fnatic. We were talking about their relatively linear playstyle. Fnatic going for those early to mid game, fairly almost predictable team compositions, and they surprise everybody through picks and bans, and they've got a small advantage early, but let's see if they can make it count.
Well, there's one thing we have seen about TSM through tournaments is they can't adapt in that game if the change is too big. They can adapt in the series, but the one game is the crush for them.
I am flabbergasted that TSM didn't lane swap this matchup. You can see already off the bat, the bottom lane is pushed in, the top lane is pushed in. TSM is almost relying on Santorin to bail them out of these lanes and create ganks, but the ward coverage is already there for Fnatic. Rainover does have early game presence on Gragas, and they might be looking to take some power out of Dyrus.
Baby, right onto Dyrus, that's first blood, and Fnatic are on the board.
And that's exactly what we talked about in picks and bans. Rainover is an enabler for his solo laners. He very rarely ganks for Yellowstar and Steelback, waiting for the mid game, and he just wants to get either Huni or Febiven ahead. That's a good start.
It's just another example of why TSM should have lane swapped this matchup. We know Huni loves to aggress on the enemy top laner. We know that Rainover is a fantastic early game ganker. And we also know that TSM is great at lane swapping, but this lane game is not something that got them through the playoffs. It's not something their team composition is built to do, and they are paying for it early on in this game.
Really nicely played there by Rainover as well for that top gank. You can see Santorin was mid for what could have been a counter gank, but it went towards Dyrus. Rainover touching more than one lane here, trying to get that snowball going. Nice pressure by Santorin, but nothing really needed by Febiven to get out of that situation. TSM starting to push back in the bottom lane, but you can see what kind of engage, I should say, Steelback and Yellowstar are giving.
Yeah, they were able to push this out for TSM with the Ricochet spam, and Steelback is having some mana issues right here, so they have a bit of control of that bottom side. But right now, Santorin has very limited map presence when compared to Rainover, who's already got off that successful gank, despite not even landing his body slam flash. He's coming down to push TSM off that turret.
Yeah, good spell shield keeps Wild Turtle alive on the retreat after pushing that wave out. standard lanes means we might have that delayed first dragon. Dragon's definitely something more in favor of Fnatic in terms of this matchup, and historically, Fnatic put a bit more emphasis on controlling that objective. We'll see if they continue to do the same as the modified Hook City in Yellowstar and Last Boy.
A little bit of harass down there. TSM has kind of always been that team that's all right with letting dragons go, even since the times of Reginald. If it's a risk, you can pass it up a few times.
Could he be more confident?
Wow. Yeah, could you say that? But honestly, look at what everything Turtle's going to get.
Great play there by Lustboy. He knows he's shopping anyway. He saw Steelback's mana pool. He knows that Urgot wants to back for a tier right now, and he was completely free to do that. Saved a ton of CS for Wild Turtle. And that just kind of goes to show why many people respect Lustboy.
Pulled the
as one of the best supports in the world.
They couldn't see him. Just didn't work out.
Well, the minions saw him.
Yeah.
That's a good thing.
So we're 6 minutes into this one. Just the first blood drawn from Fnatic as things have cooled down a little bit and just been between the lanes right now. Not too much jungler intervention other than this mid lane. Yeah,
and something that you have to highlight. We're looking at those monsters of the mid lane stats. And again, since 5.5's come in, Feathervin is actually traditionally down a CS at 10 and still down CS at 20. The numbers, let's just look at the 20 minutes. Feathervin traditionally 6 CS down. Bjergsen traditionally 20 CS up when you get to that 20-minute mark. That is a scary, scary laning presence, but we'll touch on that in a second.
Kill Dyrus right here.
Oh, kill Dyrus once again. He's been to this dance before, though. We've seen Dyrus go down a lot. Will it be what gives Fnatic the game?
Solo kill right there. Reignover didn't lay a finger on Dyrus's Gnar right there. All those top lane bans are really benefiting Fnatic in the long run right here.
That's a really good point.
You do have to say Bjergsen and Turtle are holding their own in that lane, but the pressure between Huni and Reignover is just crushing Dyrus in that normal matchup that he's having up top lane. I say normal because it's a one-on-one. Top lane Cassiopeia is not something we see often in the competitive scene.
It really makes sense with the way they're working it, though. If Feathervin's going to go with all these consumables and Huni's going to be the one with the Doran's ring, why not start to feed him? Because he's the top carry anyways.
Yeah, and you know, something that Huni, I want to see what he does with the teleport ganks. A big reason why Fnatic tends to get ahead and play the mid game very well is thanks to Huni's involvement in the solo or in the duo lanes, or more importantly around the dragon fights. Cassio is not your traditional TP ult to win teamfight champion.
No.
So reliant on positioning. So we need to see how Huni is going to impact once we start getting closer to those teleport moments, which you feel are going to start building up now that everyone has access to their ultimates in a moment or two.
Things are calming down for the time being. Fnatic does have a few good wards placed, but those are also mirrored by the same ones on the bottom of the map here by Team Solomid. Yellowstar and Lustboy haven't had too much of a chance to get out of lane, so we won't see too many of those wards just yet. Lustboy misses, but Yellowstar connects here, and they have great focus on the trade for just Lustboy. The ricochet from Turtle is going to push the minion wave and give him a bit of an advantage.
Yeah, TSM's been able to play this lane quite well, keeping the lane shoving from Wild Turtle. A lot of that is actually attributed just to the minion control of Lustboy early on in the laning phase, and the amount of aggro he is taking from Steelback and running him out of mana quite easily to prevent the all-ins. There's also a large gold lead developing in the mid lane. It's about 350 gold advantage for Bjergsen over Feathervin. And it is the focus of TSM, typically the mid lane and bottom lane focus, and it's more of a survival for the top lane right now in this early game. That's where 100% of Fnatic's kills have come.
Could be one more here. Reignover tries to come in, pops back Bjergsen. He doesn't have much mana. That flash is down, and he's going to try to fight this one out. Hits Feathervin with the silence. Is that what keeps him alive? No, it does not. The double distortion. Feathervin picking it up.
Yeah, just a nicely timed gank there by Reignover. He knew that Bjergsen was pushed up in the lane, and uncharacteristically, TSM has no backup for the mid lane. A 5 to 10 second series of events in that mid lane with no backup for Bjergsen. Take him down easily, and action in the bottom.
Oh, take a look at this. Steelback's trying to get in. We do see the Death Sentence connect. The hyperkinetic position reverser is on cooldown, so Steelback and Yellowstar using that one to initiate. They traded for both ultimates and the flash on TSM side, regaining control of that lane.
That depth charge is still up. They have to be careful for the engage down there. Huni now with an advantage in this lane, not even in Mega Gnar form. Can Dyrus think about fighting? Actually misses the ultimate there. Like you said, not really much of an engage ult. Gotta wait on it.
Yeah, last time he was able to land under the turret. This time Dyrus dodges out, but it's not like he's having a good time in this lane anyways. Down 26 CS. I do want to talk a little bit more about the overall team compositions right here. and how critical it was for Febiven to get that kill in the mid lane. Because if he does not snowball ahead of Bjergsen before Bjergsen can tank up, he won't have targets here. And again, the focus on the mid lane.
That depth charge that was left up. Santorin trying to get something back, but he's not even going to be able to scratch either Febiven or Yellowstone.
And there's the roam that we talked about 10 minutes ago. When there's an opportunity, Yellowstone will go to help Febiven out. And you can see the priority for Fnatic, getting the kills and the advantages on their damage-dealing solo laners. And, you know, Reignover's Gragas, it's what helped Fnatic do so well in the finals against Unicorns of Luck over in Europe, and he's had a phenomenal start here at the mid-season Invitational.
Great job there. Fnatic doing everything they need to do to equalize that CS in the mid lane we were talking about, where Bjergsen has a huge lead. Now they've equaled that up, and first turret going down in the top lane. Huni is just having the lane of his life and has the wards to keep doing it.
Yeah, absolutely crushing Dyrus. And right now, this game is Fnatic's style of game.
Yes.
And TSM is trying to play that. When we're coming into this, the strengths of TSM was strategic early game, lane swapping, jungler denial, and then pick game with vision control. That's what they are good at, because then they can rotate their support and jungler through mid lane frequently and create that type of mid lane focus for them. Now in this standard laning phase, especially when the top lane is requiring so much assistance if they wanted to help him out,
right?
TSM is completely on the back foot. Fnatic is beating them to almost every move in the mid lane. The pressure is not accumulating enough in the side lanes, and this is the mid-game snowball that Fnatic made their bank on during the regular season, and it's happening to TSM. There may be no coming back from this 12-minute deficit.
And the next step in Fnatic's playbook and style book is force team fights around Dragon. The moment they unlock one of their lanes in terms of getting that outer tower down, they instantly start setting up Dragon control. Look at all the members of Fnatic trying to get vision, and with the lead they have on both Febiven and Huni, they want to look for fights. It's not really about getting the Dragon or starting the 5-dragon counter. It's about getting the kills, getting the engages, because that's what Fnatic likes to do. They like to brawl.
And you can see how much TSM actually want this first Dragon. It's one they usually give away, even the first two. And they're going to go ahead and stick with it this time against Fnatic. Usually Team Solomid will get their gold leads by giving up the Dragon and having the lane swap go in their favor and other things on the map, but not this time.
Not this time. They just had to give that Dragon up because TSM has lost control of the match. They normally have a gold lead from the lane swapping and experience and advantages, and the other team takes a Dragon as a byproduct of those moves. But this time, Fnatic has just been beating TSM up across the map, and that's why the Dragon was lost. Look at the pink ward control, and look at the lanes right now for Fnatic.
And if we step back and think about what the analyst desk was saying leading into this matchup, Crumbs specifically highlighted, if Fnatic can beat up TSM in the lanes, with the assistance of Reino, of course, let's be fair about this. That is how Crumbs felt Fnatic was going to win this game. They've done everything. Each of the lanes is going in their favor. I mean, yeah, it's even in the duo. Let's not discount Wild Turtle and Lustboy dealing with that bully of a lane. But Fnatic, they've earned the lead through some very positive, proactive, aggressive plays.
See if TSM can start to gain a little bit of ground here. Definitely backs against the wall, as Jat was saying. Bjergsen able to keep that CS in the mid lane up, but he has to get big soon. 0-2 is not going to make him play like he did against Cloud9 in the finals of the North American LCS. Fnatic with a good lead on the game here, and Huni's going to be start taking that blue. Not Febiven.
Not this time around. Febiven.
Or maybe Febiven.
Okay, so
Huni's
pretending to be a jungler here. With 2 APs.
Just nice guy Huni, right? He's huggable. Why not?
Someone's got to get it. Someone's got to get that blue buff in here. And this game right now, we need to start looking at what are Fnatic's next moves for winning this game, because already Huni's been able to take that top lane turret, and you mentioned them having 2 APs. They're trying to control both blue buffs. Once again,
successfully.
A complete lack of vision control from TSM right there. Reignover walks up, barrels over the wall, and easily hands off the blue to himself, preventing the TSM blue handoff entirely. This is going to be really tough for TSM to come back from, only because Fnatic has so much lane control, and they're winning the vision battle as well.
And that's what gets me. They're only on single Sightstone right now, and somehow still getting themselves in the jungle. Now on to Lustboy.
They've thrown it back with the barrel into Febiven's waiting hands. 5-0. Europe take the second tower, and I'm sorry, my North American comrades, but Fnatic have landed in Tallahassee.
They absolutely have, and they are making it seem like TSM is jet-lagged, which they clearly are. Bjergsen in the mid lane gets cut as well.
They're gonna eat him up. Huni picks up another one. 2-0-1. Santorin is going to need the ultimate from Wild Turtle just to get out safely.
Now look at the pressure. Fnatic have lost the minions, but they're still looking for the tower. Teleport comes in from Dyrus, and that's gonna dissuade Fnatic for the time being.
He just lost so much pressure up there.
Dyrus could have been pressuring the top lane turret, but now TSM is playing catch-up, yet only making it have them fall farther behind right here. The lanes are collapsing on the sides. The mid lane has been lost. The roam game is on for Fnatic, and this is turning into a slaughter.
And there's something very scary. The fact that Santorin picked this relatively early to mid-game jungler has had no impact in the laning phase whatsoever. Rainova 1-0-3. You can argue will outscale this Rek'Sai, and the fact that Huni's in such a great position. Fnatic have got all the tools they need to completely grab control. The one thing Fnatic cannot afford to do, though, is have mixed decisions when they push the mid to late game. If anybody remembers back to how they played against Unicorns of Love, Fnatic lost both of their matchups to Unicorns of Love thanks to poor decision-making in trying to close the game out. We'll need to see if Fnatic can close with this very new, unstage-tested team composition.
Unstage-tested team comp, but definitely stage-tested. If you were to think the rookies would get scared, that would have been in Madrid, right? Huge crowd for them to play in front. We've heard a lot of players get nerves in front of those big crowds. Not these guys. They know exactly what they need to do. And Yellowstar is helping to call those shots. Missed initiation there, but one of the first for Fnatic.
Yeah, but you can see the focus. No dragon available. Outer towers down. Fnatic are just pitching their tents and wards in the middle lane. They want that last outer turret, and then they want to take control of the jungle. They're onto this turret now, but good wave clear from Wild Turtle, and Lustboy, he's looking for blood. Not going to find it this time.
Yeah, and there's actually not many ways TSM can deal with him right now, but Rainover is caught out a little bit. Dyrus trying to make a Mega Gnar impact. Fnatic goes for the fight.
They don't have the vision to keep following, though, and they all try to disengage. What an ultimate from Huni to keep two in place. TSM trying to re-engage. They're doing good damage to the health bars. They get Steel back where they want him, and Yellowstar still trying to fight. It may be a little bit of miscommunication, but it looks like they're going to back off as Featherman dives in for one last say.
That was a 4v5 from Fnatic's perspective, and they still tried to go. They lose one, but now we have to see if they can gain a pressure advantage with many TSM members recalling.
Yeah, it looks like they do get the tower. Featherman not able to get any burst down, and I think crucially, Wild Turtle flashed away, but the tower still stands, Jack.
But for how long?
But for how long, indeed.
Whoa! Success. Turret success. 3 turrets to 0 right now. Something that is very hard to come back from.
If there was any questions about Featherman's ability to make plays or make decisions on the big stage, on the international stage, with the help of Rainover in the laning phase and that super cheeky tower kill, Featherman's in his elements.
Yeah, and looking at this fight again. So Rainover had to burn a lot of cooldowns just to begin this fight, but the confidence of Fnatic, specifically Huni, knows he's incredibly strong, and now he goes for the flash ult and gets a good amount of damage down. If not for that Mega Gnar stun from Dyrus onto Huni, that would have been a dead turtle, probably with one more E from the Cassiopeia. At that point, the peel from Lustboy is actually very good. The box covers that entire choke point. TSM is barely able to come back with their lives. If another fight like that happens, I feel like Fnatic gets it. Most things went pretty optimally for TSM now.
Yeah, and of course, with the second dragon, Fnatic have actually never lost a game after securing the first 2 consecutive dragons. They are 9-0 after grabbing those first 2. Now, TSM, after giving up the first 2, have actually won 44% of their matches. So it's not a huge amount. You're looking 5-4, but the fact is, they have bounced back. TSM, a team that have given up dragons in the past, to pull it back, but this may be too much to pull back from.
The pattern of those games for Team Solomid, when they're doing that, is they have a lot of map control and pressure plus laning advantages. We look at this, and they're down in CS into the 3 major lanes. The only CS advantage they have is a 6 CS lead by Santorin in the jungle. That doesn't even count in the context of this matchup. Finally, Dyrus was able to equalize a turret, which helps a little bit. So, what each team needs to do here, for TSM, they need Dyrus to have an impact with Mega Gnar of some kind. So much of this game has been Dyrus farming on his side of the map, against Huni's Cassiopeia, which has been completely dominant. If Dyrus can find a teleport in where he transforms Mega as the fight begins and gets a good stun, that is a way TSM could take out priority targets. Outside of that, Fnatic has all of the vision control. They're looking for the picks with Steelback and Yellow Star, plus a Cassiopeia. I mean, that entire team just screams, kill 1 or 2 dudes right away and then steamroll the rest of the fight.
So Fnatic with different picks, but the same execution pattern. They really, really just want to look to get somebody down, and as soon as you have the numbers advantage, play for those objectives. But they snuck a lot of damage on the Nanoterra moving around the map. They're trying to move through the jungle to get access to the next wave of turrets on TSM side.
Credit to the Fnatic coaching staff for finding a new subset of champions here for Huni in the top lane that still allows them to play their same style. And they must be so happy right now that TSM decided not to lane swap, because this is what Fnatic loves to do. It's Huni gets to farm for free, no denial, no weird stuff happening in their own jungle. This one's been easy for Fnatic.
And the one thing that, you know, everybody backstage, all of the casters were debating, where is the priority on bans? The focus was obviously going to be top lane, but we didn't expect 6 of them to go that way. And I think for Fnatic, you've also got to look at the fact, yes, Huni may be the superstar at the moment, but Reignover's Gragas, Febiven and LeBlanc, it's not fake as LeBlanc, but he's still delivering. You have to start looking at some of those threats and try to find out answers to those picks as well.
And that's kind of been what everybody's said about the top lane in general in their picks, is that's kind of the most mismatched here in these lanes. So why not throw everything at it? Huni's been one to go on to more diverse champions anyway, so they knew they were going to get an upper hand there on Dyrus and then focus it over and over again. Right
now, look at the ward coverage that Fnatic's been able to accumulate on this side of the map. It's great vision denial right here, so they will start the 22-minute Baron. Unfortunately, they weren't setting up a pick, but they just get it because TSM can't make the rotation in time. What a call.
Fantastic, fantastic play, and Fnatic, they now
that Baron died so fast, guys, because of Huni's Cassiopeia just ripping through it. Much faster than TSM expected it to be, and then Dyrus could scout with the boomerang, but he didn't have anything to place inside of it right now. No upgraded sight totems right there for TSM, but a double upgraded yellow trinket for Fnatic. Vision control on side of Fnatic.
Depth charge a little farther, flash, anchor toss. Wild Turtle's gonna have to spell shield now and use his ultimate to get out of this one. But that's gonna hurt. They may get pressure here. Fnatic pushing down the mid.
We'll see if they can use those Baron empowered minions to get up into those
way
towers.
far, though.
For Fnatic, what did they expend? Flash on Febiven, flash and engage tools from Yellowstar. But look at that burst onto Lust Boy.
Again, Dyrus is trapped trying to push out the top lane. Fnatic pushes that so quickly and easily that now they have position on multiple fronts. Huni gets the Baron minions in the bottom lane. Fnatic is still holding strong with 4 in the mid lane. They don't have great turret siege because of the Urgot. That is why Fnatic is split pushing right now.
And they're going to have to be careful. They know Dyrus is about to Mega Gnar out, so they will not initially want this fight. Huni, so much pressure on the bottom, and every member of Team Solomid in the mid lane right now.
This is perfect right now for Fnatic. They know how to get the outer turrets without a traditional AD carry right there. It's by splitting and using your strong members on the side lanes.
And on top of that, there are a number of European top laners who were playing Gnar up until recent weeks. So Fnatic timing the back against that Mega Gnar. It's not an uncomfortable opponent champion for them. They get the mid in a turret, and look at the damage on Dyrus. Fnatic could set up on this bottom lane next as well.
This just feels abusive right now. Huni is completely dominating Dyrus this entire game, and now he's dictating the map for Fnatic as well. European rookie of the split really showing up here at the international event. Look at that. They're going to kill him.
Oh! The flash explosive cast. You can see how headstrong Fnatic are right now. Really no care in the world against this TSM composition now that they're in their base.
They do have that one pushing onto the inhibitor on that bottom lane. TSM are scrambling to defend, but without the wave clear of Wild Turtle, there's nothing they can do.
This is how you use the Baron buff. We knew these teams were in an arm race for mid-game power, and Fnatic has won this arm race. Dyrus trying to get an ultimate off. They have no Sivir right now.
They don't have much of anything to do in this fight. Huni goes down only because he pushes too far, but you can see Fnatic low on mana. They have health, and that's enough for him to just kind of hang out. They will finally pull back, though, without any minions on that Baron buff.
All right, Huni was being a little foolish right there. that was a reach too far, but
he just wanted some hugs.
So many of Fnatic's reaches this game have worked out perfectly well. Almost every move Fnatic has made has paid off totally. This is now a 25-minute game with an 8,000 gold lead.
Incredible.
And a downed inhibitor inside TSM base. And guys, this means more than just EU greater than NA in that conversation. Let's watch this real quick again. Huni went for the kill, but he flashed face first into a death sentence. So not the best execution right there. Credit for Lustboy to having that hook prime. Outside of that, it actually allows GSM to come out of the base and maybe pick up a dragon.
Well played by TSM, taking advantage of that. Their first will stall out that 5-dragon counter, but they've got so much more problems to deal with than that one at the moment.
Yeah, there's no way this game... Well, there is a way, but it's very unlikely that this game goes to 5 dragons.
Something I'm definitely watching for Fnatic is that game they had a 20,000 gold lead against Unicorns of Love. They wanted to play safe. They need to end this game.
Well, we do see Featherman pulling the attention of TSM while the rest of the team pushing in the mid lane. Keep an eye on Yellowstar. He's also picked up that banner of command after Sightstone. You've got that empowered minion on the mid lane of Featherman. Again, just trying to keep everybody away.
All the clever ways of pushing down these inhibitor turrets without a real AD carry right there. Ban your minion for more time, split pushing with the Baron minions, and now 2 inhibitors down 26 minutes in. Do we see a fight?
Oh, Lustboy absolutely and surgically deleted from the map. This is going to be Wild Turtle now. He tries to get himself out, but there's not enough spell shield to save his life on that one. 2 going in for Featherman, and they're looking for the Nexus turrets.
So carry on pushing through. They find another one onto Santorum. Bjergsen in full retreat. He takes the fat man down, but gets taken down himself. Holo is killed out of the Nexus turrets as Fnatic get the minion wave pouring through. They're onto Nexus turret number 1. Dyrus has Mega Gnar charging up, but it's not going to be enough to finish it out. He does get the double Gnar onto the wall, and now Dyrus' attention.
The wallop isn't going to be enough, but is there enough HP after that with Lustboy coming out now? Misses the hook on Steelback. They're going to have to retreat, but the damage has already been done. One more rinse and repeat, and this should be game 1.
This North American heavy crowd in Tallahassee is silenced right now by the precision of Fnatic's chaotic gameplay right here. This is incredible by Fnatic right now in order to take so many objectives and so much power early on.
And this composition doesn't do this all game. They definitely had to make this work immediately, and it has not failed in any spot.
Somebody needs to give Rainover a cookie for his ganks in the laning phase, then Huni a hug for his fantastic performance in Cassiopeia after 6 top lane bans. And you need to take a step back. A lot of people had written Fnatic off coming into this tournament. A lot of people had said Fnatic style, it's sloppy, it's messy, it's not good enough.
Yeah.
27 minutes in, a Nexus turret and 2 inhibitors down from TSM. Fnatic say otherwise.
And it's only the first game of the group stage, but we want to talk about the bracket stage already because we were thinking there was a lot of wisdom around this tournament was thinking Fnatic was going to be competing with AHQ for that 4th spot into the bracket stage. It was like EDG, SK2, and TSM were the ones going in.
Yeah, here comes TSM off Katowice.
Yeah, winning right there. The European teams that went to IM Katowice had a horrendous showing.
Right.
The finals in the European LCS looked incredibly chaotic, and obviously this is just one game, but it absolutely begins a whole new conversation about this mid-season invitation.
Especially because this is Fnatic's style. Regardless of the champions, they've played in the same way and the same manner they have in the European LCS. But TSM have not. Picks and bans different, not lane swapping, decision making early. It's kind of Fnatic did them, they've done what they always do, and TSM you have to ask some questions. They've been even cheeky enough to find Bjergsen in the bush. The death sentence connects!
They're trying to use the Fnatic brush against Fnatic. That doesn't work. They go on to Bjergsen. He's going to get locked down, and they are just surveying the fight now. Who's next? No worries. Dyrus is going to be it, and this is when they have the Mega Gnar. Nobody else can actually follow up, and we're going to see this 2nd-tier turret going down.
Steelback continues to push through, and Fnatic set their sights on the last remaining inhibitor turrets.
There are 2 downed inhibitors already, so normally Fnatic would just have to wait for those to push in, but they've already killed 2 people on TSM. This 3rd inhibitor is free.
Definitely sealing the deal as they turn TSM's base into shambles. They're looking for that last inhibitor. They just want to go around the horn and take everything because they have absolutely earned it this game.
And look at them backing off. This is again what we talked about. When Fnatic was overconfident
Super safety.
and pushed Nexuses against the Unicorns of Love, it backfired multiple times. Yellowstar was playing Nautilus, trying to backdoor, and it didn't work out. It's very good to see because this is some growth that Fnatic did not demonstrate during the regular splits.
We can call it growth. I think they could have ended this game easily right there, but they're going to go for the Baron. Let's take the 110% certain
Damn it,
victory.
Jad, I am proud of them. They are showing restraint
They did it!
and
All right.
control because Fnatic had not all spring long. Maybe the Baron is a little over the top, but you know what? I'm still on board. I dig it.
Yeah, this next push, they've gone back to base. They're even buying elixirs to go with this Baron. They can Banner of Command a Siege Minion already. There's only one Nexus turret living for Team Solomid.
There's 7 camps, 1 scuttle they got to take first as well before they get into the base.
The Dragon's up in a minute 15.
Go for the Dragon. Here's the scuttle, so they're going to get scuttle down. No worries on that. A very, very methodical play
Hang
here
on a
by
second.
Fnatic.
Are the North American classes a little salty that Fnatic are beating TSM so convincing?
I'm not salty. This is an amazing
Absolutely not. You're pulling salt out of thin air right here, Trevor, because this is Fnatic displaying their play style, working on the international stage. I do have to say, though, TSM is not playing their game whatsoever.
No way.
This is it's an incredibly uncharacteristic style for TSM to open a game. The top lane bans have heavily affected Dyrus. Santorin is playing a jungler he has not had much success on in Rek'Sai, especially in the Cinderhawk patch. 0-2 on that champion. Don't know why they wouldn't have gone with Sejuani. Don't know why TSM went lane swap. They're flabbergasted, though, by this Fnatic team early on because it does not look like they know how to deal with the Fnatic playstyle. Maybe TSM overthought themselves or overprepped themselves because this is going to be their defeat.
Definitely looks like it's going to be soon, just waiting for the mid inhibitor to come back up, but this is now giving TSM more chances to fight, and you can see how safe Fnatic's playing it, staying in that death ball, making sure they get everything they want before they make the final push. Looks like this might be it.
There's one tower standing between Fnatic and their first win here at mid-season. Dyrus goes in. Mega Gnar is about to pop it. He hasn't managed to find a target yet. We do see the ultimate throwing down from Wild Turtle. They've killed Bjergsen!
Bjergsen goes down. Febiven with the turret, and then the kill onto Bjergsen. He had a great mid lane against what they thought was going to be an unmatchable set for the mid lane champions here. And Fnatic will take game 1 over TSM at the mid-season Invitational.
Chat, you said it a few minutes ago. Local audience stunned by that performance.
Our letters may be NA, but we're not made of salt, Trevor.
Fnatic, honestly, I did not actually expect that. I think everybody had reservations, but what a performance.
Many people would not expect this because there were some very surprising things about this game. The 6 top lane bans, the top lane Cassiopeia from Huni, the underwhelming Gnar from Dyrus, the fact that Febiven and the rest of Fnatic made their team the solo mid team here by repeated ganks in the mid lane, completely shutting the rest of the TSM team down. Fnatic played their game, TSM did not play their game, and now they're staring at a 0-1 start to the group stage.
One of the arguable pre-tournament finalist favorites, TSM, tries to fix what's not broken, because you have to question everything in the early game, the decisions, the picks and bans, and you have to be fair about it. Why were those calls made? Why were those decisions made? We might have a chance to find out later today, but we do need to see these teams play because they do have, I think TSM has 3 games today, day 1 out of the 8.
Inexcusable to leave Dyrus in a 1v1 against Huni, Gnar versus Cassiopeia. That was not a matchup he was ever going to win. Urgot, Nautilus in the bottom lane as well, totally devastating. Really questionable decisions from Team Solomid, but Fnatic played their game. Great start. Good tournament coming.
Well, we were looking for the bar to be set very high in game 1, and I think it was set at the top. And to help us break down that game, let's send it over to the guys on the analyst desk.
Thank you, Riv. Crumbs, you said you wanted to see picks and bans. You got to see some picks and bans here.
Yeah, I think the hero for this game was the picks and bans for Fnatic. Now, 6 top lane bans. So you got Maokai, Lulu, Sion, and then for Hecarim, Vlad, and Rumble by TSM. Now, the last remaining meta champion out of all those is the Gnar, and they don't first pick Gnar. TSM should have been thinking, you know what? Why didn't they not first pick Gnar? It's the last remaining meta champion. They get baited into picking the Gnar. Obviously, Fnatic had prepared for this. They get the counter pick in the top lane matchup. And here's another thing that I disliked about TSM's draft and really liked about Fnatic's. So they first picked the LeBlanc, and they take the LeBlanc in the second rotation. And that's after seeing the Gnar. So they know that LeBlanc is going to be completely blind. TSM has the opportunity of counterpicking that. Had they not locked in the Gnar early, they could have seen the Cassiopeia top and picked a better matchup for that. I would have liked to see a Kassadin from them. They hovered over it, get a little bit more late game scaling, be safer in the mid lane. Don't try to play against the Rek'Sai, the Gragas LeBlanc in the 2v2. You're not going to win that matchup, especially with a skirmisher saber.
And I want to go after picks and bans because execution was huge. You didn't lane swap. against a Nautilus and an Urgot lane, which is extremely oppressive, but also a terrible matchup because Cassiopeia just crushes Gnar. They definitely practice that. But also, Santorin's a non-factor. Sejuani's open, Gragas is open, Nunu's open. If you want to farm your butt off, go pick a farm jungler. Like, don't pick Rek'Sai away from Reignover and go he's 4-1 on that champion. That's what Reignover's score is on Rek'Sai. Don't pick it away from him. It's fine. Pick your 3-0 Sejuani post Cinderhall. Like, don't try to play their style because you're going to lose doing it. Play your style in an international tournament because you could see Fnatic was like, we're just going to play our book, and that's how they won, with complete chaos.
Yeah, the crazy thing about that game is TSM kind of changed half their playstyle by not lane swapping, but not the other half, which is send Santorin to the top part of the map.
Yeah.
You've got Cassiopeia up there with Flash Teleport, with Gnar, who's got CC pre-level 6. Like, if that's not a gank with the Cassiopeia pushing, I actually don't know what is. Like, you've got a knock-up, you've got a stun, you've got all the damage that comes out of both those champions early game. Dyrus was once again left alone on an island, and if you do that against a team like Fnatic, better yet, a team like EDG, this is going to be a bad weekend for TSM.
I think the picks really scared TSM into playing their own game because you know you can lose every 2v2 in the solo lanes. You got Gragas Cassiopeia on one side, you got Gragas LeBlanc versus Cho'Gath Rek'Sai. You know, it's not the best matchup just because of how mobile Gragas and LeBlanc can be. But the problem was that their vision just was being pushed back. They didn't get aggressive ward for keeping an eye on the Gragas. Reignover had a free map. He didn't care where he was going because he knew there was no wards. All the lines of wards, which were few by that notion, were just very deep within the TSM jungle. So Reignover can just, you get a level 2 gank. You got to expect that when you're playing an immobile champion like Cho'Gath versus the LeBlanc.
He had reign over everything.
Sheepy, this was your call. You predicted the Fnatic win here. It's got to feel good knowing that already you're the only analyst with 100%.
Yeah, I'm off to a good start, I feel. So I will be easy here on TSM. This felt like a déjà vu. When we played against Fnatic, kind of the same thing happened. They picked Hecarim, we picked Irelia. We got like 0-4 Irelia with like double tower dive. So I was watching this game and I was like, oh wow, I know this field, Dyrus. I'm really, really sorry for you.
All right, well, before we jump, we're going to break down the rest of the match in just a moment. But before we do so, we've got Shock standing by with 2 of our winners.
Thank you very much, Dash. I'm standing by here with Yellowstar and Febiven after beating out TSM in the very first game here at MSI. And well, Yellowstar, we heard Cheapy talking about it, of course, with the Unicorns of Love beating out TSM at IEM. How much of the fact that you know that TSM sometimes has a hard time adapting went into your preparation for this game?
Well, recently TSM actually impressed us. They won IEM and then they swept the playoffs, so we really expected to have a hard time. We really got a good practice right here. So I mean, during those days, so it was really good for us. And, yeah.
All right. Well, you guys came out swinging with a very interesting composition. Was all of that set in stone? Did you know what all of you were going, or was there something in their comp that threw you guys off?
Yeah, actually, we had a plan in mind, so it was to ban out Dyrus. So he basically had almost no champions, and we were prepared, and yeah, we pulled out the Cassiopeia top, and we knew that he was going to be have a hard time.
Did have a pretty hard time, and you guys snowballed very hard off that. Febiven coming in here, very hype matchup versus Bjergsen. You got your beloved LeBlanc. How was it taking the stage versus him?
I didn't expect him to pick Cho'Gath against me, even though it actually seemed really hard in lane phase, because he was like 20 cubes up, and I bought Flask, so I actually lost, but my team was winning hard, so I was just basically getting carried.
Yeah, well, getting carried, you also killed a couple of people who were doing very well. How were you guys influenced by the fact that coming into this huge tournament, you guys weren't put up in the top 3 or top 2 or top 1. It was all about the underdogs, Fnatic. Fnatic might be struggling here. How did that influence you guys coming in?
I think we are not actually the underdogs. I think we are definitely top 4. And our scrims this week were pretty good, so I think we can end top 3.
It actually doesn't go to our mind. I mean, we know what we are able to do, and then we get the scrims and we got the results. So, I mean, we still had to prove that Europe was still a good region. And as Huni said, he said that Europe, well, he wants to prove that Europe is better than NA. So I don't know. We're looking forward to play against them again. So we'll see.
Well, Huni must be very happy, and you were also in the squad at Fnatic that beat Cloud9 2 years ago there at World, so you have a pretty good track record. Thank you guys very much. Congratulations. Very first victory here for Fnatic at MSI. We're going to shoot it back over to Dash and the guys over at the desk.
Thank you, Shocks. Febiven being a little modest there, although credit due to Rainover for his gank pressure. 2 ganks within the first 4 minutes of the game, one which netted the flash out of Bjergsen, the other takes a kill in the top lane. I mean, just completely out-jungled Santorin here in this game.
You were talking about deja vu. That was like, I am San Jose.
Level 2 gank, mid lane, I'm like, Bjergsen, please. And then he survived, so I'm like, okay.
Where did they learn this? But the fact that Fnatic and UOL were both putting resources into the lane to counter Bjergsen is what you should be doing in those losing matchups. You talked about how Gnar Cassiopeia, bad matchup. Throw Santorin into the top lane and win that matchup, kind of turn it in your favor. That's what they did with the LeBlanc versus the Cho'Gath. You saw the level 2 gank, then you saw Nautilus run into the lane and just ultimate and get Bjergsen again. They kept trying to keep pressure on him so he can't open up the map.
Well, in all honesty, with Rek'Sai, throw him into any lane, right? Even if he threw him into the mid lane or into the bottom lane, just show up somewhere, right? And it really makes me pause and wonder what TSM's approach was for this game, as they didn't take the lane swaps and then they didn't apply pressure to the straight-up matchups.
I feel like TSM was a little bit confused at some point. Top lane was doing so well for Fnatic, and then TSM like, wow, there's so much pressure on us. And Rek'Sai just ended up farming in their jungle when there was times where Cho'Gath was actually pressuring mid lane. He could have easily snuck into the jungle of the enemy and just ward out. And I think this was something that they should have really done.
And also, like, losing the blue to a barrel as well. That's, like, even more pressure on top of it, which is relieved because Bjergsen doesn't get a blue buff then, right? So they're still trying to shut him down. And then Santorin's still doing nothing about it. He's not helping his lanes.
I think Darius would have liked the opportunity to play League of Legends here.
You got to bring that back.
Well, this is the thing about the current patch. Like, there are so many things that spill over into mid lane, so you can never treat it as an isolated lane. As soon as Darius fell that far behind, you knew that there was just going to open up the rest of the match. Not to mention that Urgot is like the best 1v2 AD carry. And when you've got a Nautilus running around on the Rift, you saw how much impact he was able to make. Like, there was no way, even though Bjergsen got an early lead, as long as Febiven stayed safe, they were going to unlock LeBlanc in the end anyway. And you saw like 21 minutes, he had like a death cap of Morella Nomicon boots too. At that point in the game, even though he hadn't got ahead in lane, he was the strongest person on the map.
And I really have to give credit actually to Darius. That was not his fault what has ever happened top lane, because he didn't have any backup. And he was actually doing really well. The one team fight where it was actually close, or they were coming out even, huge ultimate from him, knocking up 4 people or something like this. So he actually performed really well, but his team kind of left him to die under the tower twice, and then after that it's just, what can I do here? I just need to passive farm.
Yeah, massive props to Fnatic, though. It's only game 1, but they've kind of turned expectations on their head already. So TSM's matches that are coming up are even more important.
I was about to say, I think some of the big takeaways here from this match in particular is the fact that Fnatic, who a lot of people had already counted out, are showing up. They've made their statement. We're here to fight for the title of champions at MSI. But 2, they've highlighted a pretty large weakness in TSM. Fnatic, one of the more aggressive, early game, fastest winning teams against TSM, who takes first dragons, or who takes the least number of first dragons of any team here at MSI in games that they play. They're much more okay with sitting and resting on their laurels in lane. That might not work here at this tournament.
Yep, especially when you're not lane swapping. It was really, like, TSM's really good at lane swaps, right?
They made it really hard for themselves, I think.
Exactly. That's what I think is a big thing. They didn't play to their strengths. Like, they didn't free up Lustboy to go mid or anything like that. So
I really like the Cassiopeia pick. In the top lane. It's a very contested pick in the mid lane right now, but adding that extra dimension to Fnatic, we had never seen Cassiopeia from them before. Pick it now, especially when you're facing SKT1. That's going to come in very handy because both EasyHoon and Faker play it. This could be a hot pick for this matchup, maybe even banned. I want to see that matchup now, perhaps a little bit more than TSM versus SKT.
Yeah, and it makes you, I mean, yeah. Well, let me start over. I mean, another team that I'd love to see it against AHQ. Very aggressive team when it comes to early dragons. When we watch Fnatic now stack up against teams that don't play like TSM, is this kind of strategy still going to work out when they clash heads with as much pressure as they put on themselves?
Yeah, I think that they'll have a really good time in the lane against AHQ. I think the thing that AHQ won't do that TSM did is refuse to fight them. TSM get behind and then they don't take fights. There's no way that AHQ is not taking that first dragon fight. They're like flashing in on Karthus, like they're picking a Jarvan for some reason still, like trying to dunk people. There is no way that AHQ does not hard engage that second dragon they went for.
All right, well, an exciting game to start the day. We do have to make a quick broadcast correction for you. People looking to aid in the Nepal relief effort can visit the URL internationalmedicalcorps.org, not .com, or check out the LoL Esports Facebook page for more information. And coming up after the break, Turkey's Besiktas Esports Club will take on Korea's SK2 in our next match. We'll be right back.
There it is, the famous man, Huni.
And again, the focus on the mid lane.
That's that depth charge that was left up. Santorin trying to get something back.
Fnatic goes for the fight.
They don't have the vision to keep following, though, and they all try to disengage. What an ultimate from Huni to keep two in place. TSM trying to re-engage. They're gonna
Fight. Go. Sivir. Go. Nice, you!
Ultimate throwing down from Wild Turtle. They've killed Bjergsen.
Bjergsen goes down. Febiven with the turret, and then the kill onto Bjergsen. And Fnatic will take game one over TSM at the midseason Invitational.